50 years ago when my mom, a very young woman with two very young children, was faced with the same situation. There were no options for her. It didn't exist. People didn't talk about it. So when she finally figured out that she needed to get away, it was sneaking away, packing a few things, and trying to go start all over all by herself with no resources available to help her get there. And I still remember having to leave, my Schwinn Stingray bike because we couldn't pack that in the car. My brother, the same thing. And so not having those options made our situation a lot worse. I still have very vivid memories of the experience of watching my mom go through some pretty horrific abuse as a 5-year-old. And you think that I'd be done with it, but I'm not. It's always there, just under the surface. And so Emmaus House for me is an opportunity to give back and maybe help just one child not have to have that experience. Children are extremely resilient. Given the right resources, they can recover. But when they're not given the resources, or their families aren't given the resources, they struggle.
When the women come in with their families, they get a room, and that room, depending on the age of the children, may have 2 or 3 twin beds, or 2 twin beds and a crib. And so they're able to have their own safe area. That's where they sleep, that's where their stuff is kept. And they're given the opportunity to go into basically a closet that's loaded with stuff, pick their clothes, their shoes, different things that they need to get, because a lot of them come with nothing. So we need to kind of clothe them and shelter them. So at Walk a Mile, we put a flag down every 9 seconds as the men are walking their mile. So when they leave, there's just a few flags, and when they come back with their mile walk, there's 150 to 100.
Wow.
1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence or physical abuse, and 1 in 6 men will experience domestic abuse or violence.
So as they come in, you can have several clients that come in are very emotional, having the fear of taking that step to leave their situation. That's the biggest thing that they have to deal with. And a day in Emmaus House is, all clients will be assigned chores that they have to do. We try to empower them, provide them resources to go out, encourage them to, for instance, there's some clients that come in and they have no financial means. So we show them ways that they can get assistance from the county. Being in their shoes, it was kind of hard. I'm thinking, how am I going to be able to do that if I went through it? But after being here, I'm going on 5 years being here with Emmaus House. I realize it's my calling to be here as a survivor. Dealing with these clients on a daily basis has empowered me also.
I remember one individual, I was her caseworker, and we were talking, and she's like, when we'd be driving, I could even shop when I was driving and he was on the passenger side, she would only have to look straight. If she looked another way, it'd be like, who are you looking at? What are you doing? And she's like, now, she's like, so when I'm driving, she's like, I'm looking at people smiling. I'm like, she's like, I've never done that before. And she's like, it feels good to smile at somebody, say hi. I mean, she was never able to do that before. And she's like, being here is just, I'm feeling more independent. Like I could do things and, get out there. And it's okay to, like I said earlier, to have friends. And, it's not a bad thing to have friends. But the person that she was with was so controlling. It was a really bad situation for her. And being here, she was able to get back on her feet and get her own place. And I mean, I remember she said it's not the biggest place. I'm like, but it's a start.
As many of you probably know, the opportunities through HUD and other governmental funding sources are starting to diminish. There's been many different changes over the last few years, so the accessibility for unrestricted funds for nonprofits and shelters like ourselves is becoming less and less. There's many funders that want to fund a specific project or program. However, to have that unrestricted operation funding is very important to us. We would like to be able to put ourselves in a situation where we're not constantly begging for money, asking our donors to support us further than they already do. They're very, very generous. And get to a point where we could maybe be at least somewhere around the 60-70% self-sufficient on an annual basis by taking a draw from our endowment. We had a young woman once. She was single. She stayed with us for about a month and a half, I'm going to say 45 days. In that time frame, she had no job when she came to us. She came from a different community, so she had to learn our local community. She found herself a job. We were very proud of her. Local employment opportunity came up and they trained her into her position. And there was another mom that she became close to at the same time frame that wasn't able to go back to work and had 3 children that were getting ready to go to school. And 2 of the children were young boys. And these young boys didn't have new clothes or new shoes, and school was going to start on Monday. And on Friday afternoon, our wonderful little single person, she got her first paycheck. She went down to the Payless shoe store in town, and she bought shoes for all of her kids. And it's one of the most heartwarming stories that I can remember. And that's what Emmaus House is. It's a community full of hope. It's a community full of family. And it's empowerment. And these women feel so blessed, most of them, and they feel very gracious when they leave and they want to do something to help others.